Welcome to another episode of Staring at Map Screens. I am Jersian, and with me is Salmi.
Hey yo, how's it going, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thank you for clicking our YouTube channel. We have taken a bit longer to record this, but this is coming out, and we'll talk about our next game at the end. So stay tuned to the end. It was kind of my fault that we hadn't recorded this, but I did finish the game, and I have my thoughts, both positive and negatives. And let's continue to have fun. If you don't know what Staring at Map Screens is, Salmi and I have been friends for over 10 years, and we particularly play very, very different things. But there's one genre where we come together, and that's Metroidvanias. So we decided to make a YouTube channel all about Metroidvanias, and here it is. What game are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about a game that I kind of chose the last time. It's called, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name of this game, but I think it's called Iconoclasts? Iconoclasts. Okay, I don't know.
It's in Swedish, so you are fine. Iconoclasts.
Yeah.
This game originally came out in 2018 on PS4 and Vita, and then it was ported to Nintendo Switch because who even plays a Vita anymore? We're sorry, I know Vitas are cool, but the Switch is just much better. So,
Yeah.
I had seen this game around, I had seen trailers. I think the first time they showed it was in 2015, but I hadn't really gone the extra step to buy it and play it, and then eventually I did buy it but still didn't play it. But I'm glad that you chose it because it's off my backlog, so to speak, and I was able to play it. It can be longer if you want, but it is about average length. I'd say it took me... Oh wait, I do know how much it took me. It took me 10 hours to beat, but it could have taken me less. I died a lot at certain bosses, and there are infuriating or frustrating points to this game.
Yeah.
But the problem, I don't think, is specifically with the design. Maybe it's due to resources. It was mostly made by one guy with another team helping him with the ports. But I would say that there was a lack of vision in the game. From the beginning, let's start. You start as a mechanic, and being a mechanic is illegal, or it's a sin, because there's a whole church, ivory worshipping thing going on. The church people have magical / telekinetic powers, and the humans, they live in designated villages, but everything seems to revolve around cranks. So the mechanics or engineers, they will fix every type of problem by just cranking it. And the main character's father was one of those characters, but he has passed away, and his daughter has taken up his weapon, his tool. And you have two attacks. You have a stun gun, because, of course, it's not a very violent game. And she has the wrench. Tell me about the beginning of the game. What were your impressions at first, Salmi?
Well, at first, I was just having fun with it. I'm gonna be honest, because I started it out. I didn't know much about it. I just know that when I bought the game, I didn't even know what the story was about or anything. I just looked at it and I thought, oh, this looks cute. I want to play it. So yeah, but yeah, that first part of it, it starts out like your regular adventure game, if you will. Something goes on and you have to go check it out, see what's going on, and all of a sudden you're in the first boss fight of the game. Because now that I mention it, it kind of throws you into the first boss fight really quick. Here, boss fight, now, fight it, bye.
Yeah,
but
and it's common for Metroidvanias to start and be a bit directionless. I like that the way to the first boss is going left screen and not right screen. That's a thing that not a lot of games dare to do, but it's always fun when they do, where progression is left instead of right. And that first boss fight makes you learn how to jump, test the limit of your stun gun before it has to reload. There's infinite bullets, but you can't just spam the button forever. It'll take a time to reload, and not exactly, it was an early boss, but not exactly the type of boss I was expecting for this game. I thought I was expecting something a little bit more Mega Man or a little bit more dynamic, but
yes,
from the first, this is pattern recognition. It's gonna be the name of the game for this and the rest of the bosses. But I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I can't say it was terribly hard. It was just caught me off guard.
Yeah, it did. For me too, like honestly, because there were some patterns that I didn't know what was going on, and there were some things that hit me that they were not like super clear to me that, oh, this thing in the screen is actually gonna hurt me. Like I didn't even notice at first until it actually happened. And that happened to me with a lot of bosses. Like they have some attacks that from the get go you either don't recognize that it's gonna hurt you, or you recognize it but you don't know how it's gonna attack, how the attack is gonna flow in the screen. So you get hit anyways because you don't know where to run or where to avoid the hit. So
That's
yeah,
I'm
it's a
totally
bit
there with you. I was constantly
yeah.
asking myself, am I supposed to be reacting? Is this like a Twitch type of game? Like a bullet hell or something? Am I supposed to be reacting, or am I supposed to get hit to understand what the boss is gonna do? Because the tells aren't really great for all of the bosses, but let's talk a bit about the level design and the art style. This is a 2D pixel art game. You're seeing it on screen right now. The game, I have no complaints about the style. I understand it's an indie game. I think voice acting would have done it a little bit better, a little bit of a help, because the music isn't super memorable. It is fine, like capital F fine. But the story they're trying to tell is a bit more convoluted. And what's up with that space worm and the moon?
I know, right? Like, honestly, this was not the type of story that I was expecting from the way that this game looks. Because let's be honest, this game looks cartoony as all hell. Like, it does. Like, it looks really cartoony, really friendly, really family friendly. And then when you get into the story, you go like, what type of government conspiracy space worm alien thingamajig stuff is going on in here?
Yeah, so
I got lost.
Let's talk about the themes. There's like religious worship of a person they call mother. There is scientific experimentation. The ruling class is a militaristic class. They have a big army, and it's one of those armies where all the grunts are dressed the same and the lieutenants just wear whatever the heck they want. They have some are shirtless, some just have a jacket. There is one of the captains with metal arms, and she's a recurring character until you eventually get to fight her. So there is a lot in terms of the story, but then it turns into a UFO alien invaders type story, and I think they should have stuck more with the experimentation and the church is evil and all of that. But they went to the moon. We see some aliens, and
it's just the story's all out there.
The story's all out there, and I don't think it merges well with the gameplay, because your main character, she never gets powers. There are other characters that you do use at certain parts of the game, but this is one of my biggest complaints. The game's story and settings continue to evolve, but your character largely stays the same. Can you talk about Tommy, please talk about the upgrade system, which is it's like equipping stuff?
It's bare bones. Like, honestly, for upgrades, you basically only get like 2 other types of guns. Which is like a grenade launcher kind of thing, and one that's kind of like a laser that switches positions from your character with something else on the screen. But then you also get like quirks, I think is the name, or I forgot the name exactly. But you get to equip like certain tweaks. I'm sorry, tweaks is the name of the upgrade. You get some tweaks that you can make in certain work tables. Again, I forgot the name of that thing, but yeah, that you have like a designated place to work on those tweaks, and it's like a minor upgrade that you get. Like, for example, you can breathe a little bit more. Hold your breath. I'm sorry. Hold your breath for a little bit longer underwater. You can run a little bit faster. You can take a hit and without the hit taking any life. It's kind of like oh yeah, you have a shield that you only get one hit and you're done. Like after that, you have to replenish the energy for that shield for that hit. But yeah, it's a weird system because you can also lose the tweaks if you get hit too many times, and you have to like regenerate with some
You regenerate
particles that
the
you collect.
energy by hitting,
Yeah,
like killing other opponents, or even destroying part of the environment, and that'll sometimes drop the energy in order to activate the tweak again.
exactly. But when you look at it, they are like very minor upgrades that it doesn't feel like, for example, like, oh, you get. I'm sorry, I'm gonna talk about Metroid because hey, it's the closest example. Like, oh, you get a suit that like the gravity suit that you can go underwater and you have the same mobility that you would have on regular land. Oh, you got like a different beam now. Oh, you got like the space jump. There's like the upgrades that you get are not super meaningful, and you can actually finish the game without them entirely. Like you don't really need that much to
Oh,
finish this game.
I didn't know that. And the main
Mhm.
character, Robin, as I said, she doesn't ever feel like she gets a lot stronger, but they
No.
could have compensated this because in the game, on the top right of the screen, a lot of times during the game, you have several companions. The most common one is Mina. There
Yeah.
is an exile of the church called Royal, and Robin's brother called Elro also joins, but you would think that they would make it interesting and you could switch whenever you want to these characters. And I can do that, right?
No.
So
No.
they're just a little square.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, in wishful thinking, there's just a little square to tell you that you're not alone, that there's someone is with you, and those people will interact like they blend into Robin's shadow and they will unmeld for the cutscenes.
Yeah,
But that's about it.
basically. Yeah, sometimes you do get to use like Mina, and there's like one section where you use Elro, but that's about it. Like
Yes,
they
and you
could
get
have
to
done
use
so
Mina
much
and
more.
Elro, but only for story purposes. It seems that this game was
Exactly.
more story first, gameplay later, and
Yeah.
it makes me feel that there should have been a bit more balance because the only environment that's memorable to me and that I actually liked in the game was the tower. And how much more fun would the tower have been if I was doing the left side with Robin and the right side with Mina or Elro, but it wasn't
Exactly.
happening. You had to do all the left side and then all the middle side and all the right side just with Robin to get your friend and your brother out of jail. And it was,
Yeah.
I can say that the tower was well designed, but it felt like it was needing another player, like you could switch back and forth. And I don't think that would have, I don't think that would have made the game like worse or easier in a way. It would have made it more enjoyable to switch around characters because I understand that they wanted Robin to be the main character. She can swing on bolts on the wall with the wrench. She can activate levers. She can operate elevators. But the crawling and shooting part, and or jumping and shooting, Mina could do just as well. Her gun is a very slow two-barrel shotgun. And Salmi, you said that we used Elro for one part. I actually have that part recorded. How does Elro control?
The worst out of the three, the worst out of all of them, honestly. 'Cause
Personality
he's just-
based, he's the worst character in the game.
Yeah, he is. Honestly, he's just so slow, and it's just like he just walks. He doesn't run. He doesn't jump that high. No, no, he just walks. And like the boss battle that you have with him, the guy's just doing nothing. He's just waiting for you to attack him, basically. Like, yeah, he's attacking and whatnot, but it's something that's very scripted, and it feels very unnatural, honestly.
Elro feels
Like,
like you are using the previous game's protagonist that has been badly hurt, but there's no previous
Yeah.
game. It's only Iconoclasts. It's the first and only game in the series. But
Basically.
yeah, he has this defeated demeanor, and you said he is very slow. He is not very strong. His battle is scripted. It isn't the hardest thing in the world. I guess it tried to have impact, but if you are not liking the story, you will just find Elro annoying, and you will find that he insists too much on being safe, and that's not like in the spirit of adventure. It gets old really quick.
Because like, and I get it, because story-wise, he does lose his family basically, because he loses his girlfriend slash wife and his daughter, but like,
Yeah.
nothing else comes out of it. He's just being like super annoying. Like you would honestly expect a character that's like looking for revenge or something like that, and you don't get that at all out of Velro. You just get this like super scared man, which I get it. It's a very humanly emotion. Like you're super scared, you just want to be saved, but bro, you're not helping the cause. Like you really are not.
Yeah, he fails to see how heroic Robin is and how she's been inspiring hope and challenging the church and changing things for the better. One of the times that we see Robin change things for the better is when we get to the second character, Mina, when we get to her village, and they actually live in a sort of ship submarine hybrid that gets invaded. Can you talk about that part?
Oh yeah, they kind of live like in this underwater submarine thing that they kind of move it around, trying to escape the church, and they've got like their own religion per se, because they kind of worship their own ancestors and whatnot, and they have like their own technology, and they have like plants and whatnot that they can create ivory with, and ivory is like this super very important mineral that everybody needs to like keep the world running, but it's also
Killing
being
the earth?
depleted super fast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's also killing the world. Ivory is like fuel,
yeah,
and it's magic fuel because the church uses it to experiment on its soldiers. It actually injects ivory into it, which was very disturbing.
yeah. That part was creepy as hell. I'm not gonna lie.
But back to Mina. Mina's a pirate, and as
Yeah.
so, she has a complicated relationship with her mother. She thinks she knows it all. She tries to act like an adult, but very clearly the people in her town do not treat her like an adult. And she is one of the characters that curses a lot. And I have one of those curses right here. And she uses it to refer to Royal. And she says, just let Magic Man Shimmerfingers in. He misses his mother when referring to Royal. So Royal is a cool character in terms of design and powers. He isn't a fully realized churchman. As I said, he got exiled. But this is a character that we never actually get to use in a boss battle, which would have been fun. Can you talk about Royal and his powers when he helps you in some fights?
Yeah, Royal. I feel bad for the guy. Honestly, he has like telekinesis and whatnot, and he helps you somewhat, but he's also a bit of a dummy because he's the type of character that he was very sheltered and whatnot, and he doesn't really know how the world works, and you just kind of feel bad for the guy, honestly, like for real, like because his whole world is crumbling around him as you are progressing through the story, and he like wants to believe like, oh, the church is actually like a source for good and whatnot, when nah, my guy, they're really not. And like, oh no, I need to see mother, and his own mother is like, bro, I don't even want to see you
Yeah.
anymore, like I don't even consider you my son anymore.
When we get to the
But yeah,
church city, we notice that the mother, like the church, they are keeping the citizens in line, but it's like
yeah.
under threat, under pressure of military.
Hmm.
And Royal, I like that they presented him as sheltered. You said that's the perfect word for him. But there are
Yeah.
others. There are a group of teenagers that are also raised within the church. They're gonna be candidates for that experimentation. And you actually let them go, you free them. And Royal, having seen the outside world, will still stick to the church is good, they help everyone, I don't want to sin, I get this powers from the mother and all that. The students react very, very differently, and I found it funny because they're on the ground, they're touching grass, they're looking at the stars, some of them are praying, some of them are sad,
Yeah.
but some of them just accept the reality that they've been sheltered for so long and there's a lot more to see and there's more to life than the church. And I really enjoyed that touch of seeing people freed and enjoying the world in a different, well, taking stuff in very differently than how, I guess you could say, stubborn Royal does it.
Yeah. True, because it's like you said, it's kind of funny. Like some of them are even like thrown, like they're even in the ground, just taking in everything, and it's kind of funny because it's like every student's reaction is kind of different. Like some of them are like, oh, this is amazing, this is that, and others are just like, oh no, I have sinned, forgive me, mother, and whatnot. And it's kind of like an interesting take on how different probably on how different people would take that sort of scenario in life. Honestly, it's a really nice touch, like seeing that after you've like liberated them per se.
Yeah, definitely a very nice touch that
Yeah.
they were able to express all these different emotions. And let's talk about Iconoclast as a Metroidvania. We already said that the power ups aren't that great. The exploration feels like it would have been better with two characters or two sides, two different type of powers or whatever. But it's mostly straightforward. How do you feel about this as a Metroidvania? You do get some powers to unlock or break obstacles, but there are very few and far between.
Yeah, they really are, honestly. Like, you don't get that much. Like I said earlier, I think that pretty much what you get in game, I mean, not in game, as in, like, story power ups, which basically is like the other two different types of guns. Oh, and you also, I forgot to mention that you also get like certain upgrades for your wrench. Like, oh, you either make the wrench a little bit stronger, or oh, now you
It
can charge
spins
it up.
longer.
Yeah, and that's cool and all, but it's not enough. Because, yeah, like you said, it kind of turns the game like way too straightforward, even for Metroidvania standards. And at the end of the day, there's like very little incentive to backtrack, like at all. You can literally just go straight through the game and go from start to finish without needing to like return like at all outside of story purposes, and you can just finish the game like normal and not even notice that, oh hey, I didn't even backtrack, you know. And it's kind of a shame, honestly. Like it could have used it could have benefited a little bit more from a few more power-ups here and there. Like, I don't know, give Robin like a double jump or something. I don't know, you know, like they could have gone a little bit more
Right.
creative than just
Or let her
gun.
put a bolt anywhere so she could then jump and swing it. Let me
Exactly.
install a bolt wherever I want. Well,
Hmm.
it's kind of as I told you privately, it feels like wasted potential or not fully
Yeah.
realized, because to me they could have done so much more. But there are
Yes.
some interesting things in the game that I want to shout out. First a good and then a bad. In the tower there is a samurai fight, and the samurai has a big old hat made of glass, I think, and
Yeah.
it killed me 3 or 4 times, but I actually enjoyed it. That fight made me realize this game doesn't want me to experiment. It just wants me to play how it wants me to play, because
By the
it
rules,
does
yeah.
not let me react. You have to stand in a specific way or anticipate where your opponent is gonna be and attack, but you can't. Once your opponent teleports to you, you can't just hit the D-pad in the direction to the opponent and attack. The game will not allow it. The inputs do not let you react fast enough. It wants you to play their way, and that was a downer for how cool the boss fight was and the design of its attacks.
Yeah.
But I wish they allowed a little bit more freedom. Like, maybe you could kill it with a gun, but it's gonna take you longer, or you'll fight him with the wrench as they intended, or whatever. But it's like a narrow hallway, and you have to go down that hallway. No looking left, no looking right, no looking back. It's their way or nothing in that fight.
Yep.
And another
Literally.
fight that I contemplated quitting the game was the train fight. What an absolute horror fight. Do you
Oh my
have
God.
any
Wait.
feelings about this fight?
Which one was the train fight again? I'm sorry, I
The
forgot.
train fight is an underground fight that you fight in a circular arena,
Oh,
and it goes
yeah,
around. And what you have to do
Yes.
is hit the enemy with your wrench. So one of the spikes, it's like a digging machine. One of the spikes is exposed, and then you can shoot at that one. But it'll
Yeah.
continually spin around. It'll throw discs either on the floor or ceiling, and it will power up and go really fast. Which at that point you can use the power that you said, Salmi. We will
Yeah.
spin the wrench to become electrified. Hang on
And
to
go
the bolts,
faster.
and then you will ring around the rosy faster.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And this fight has a stage 2!
Oh god,
In
yeah.
which Elro helps you. It would have been cooler if you would have done the stage 2 with Elro yourself and let the NPC take over Robin or something, but no, you are just using Robin and Elro is jamming its sword to stop its circuits. And visually, the second part is cool. I did not have fun getting to the second part, dying, and starting over from the beginning of the fight.
Oh, yeah.
How was this fight for you?
It was frustrating because, like you said, like I had to ring around the rosy way too many times to figure out what the hell I had to do. I forgot all about it. That's how much that's how horrible this fight was for me too, honestly. Like it was just like can I just get this over with, please? But yeah, like I had to spin around so many times trying to figure out how to hit this guy, and then the second part with Elro and whatnot, like trying to get Elro to do his thing. It was just, yeah, it was not my favorite fight. This thing was not my favorite at all. I really hated it.
Yeah, same. So there is a fight that I did like near the end, or actually at the end. But before we go to that fight, which had a lot of stealth things, if I am being honest, let's talk about the environments. The game is pretty short. Then you start in a forest-like area. There is one town, and we talked about Mina's town, which is a ship-submarine hybrid. There is sort of a desert area, and I guess it's forest, desert, underground lab facility, and there is also like the royal city church-like stuff.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Is that it for environments?
I think that's about it. Yeah, because the other one is like, oh yeah, the cold mountain thing.
Oh right, there is a snowy area. Of course, there's a snowy level. And the wind is a factor which I thought was nice. It's annoying, but it's always a nice thing when they try something with the snow areas.
Yeah, true. And I remember that's like one fight that there was like a boss fight in that area that you were in like a ship or something.
Yes, you are on a ship in a boss fight.
It was kind of weird. That fight was kind of weird because I was also trying to read what the captain of the ship was saying. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? But yeah, then again, I asked that question a lot during the process of the whole game. Like, I asked myself, what the heck is going on here anymore? I don't even know.
Yeah. Talking about what the heck is going on and why they included this in the game, there is a part where the soldiers for the church are really dumb and they constantly mistake you for one of the people of the church or for a soldier. And there is a mini-game part. It's an elevator mini-game where an NPC is picking up boxes from the left-hand side of the screen and taking it to the right-hand side of the screen. And you as the mechanic are operating an elevator. This part was hilariously annoying. How did you like that mini-game?
I loved and hated loved and hated it at the same time because I know that there's like two types that you kind of have to like match the boxes because the soldiers are carrying like boxes and they all have like different shapes on them, and you kind of have to like lift and lower the elevator to like where the appropriate bots needs to go, and you cannot mix one type of bots with another because it's gonna explode. And I hated it because there was a point where the minigame got faster, right?
Yep,
it got so fast that I kind of mixed the two boxes that shouldn't be mixed, and I exploded myself a couple of times. So I kind of got a few game overs there, for not being as fast as the game wanted me to be. So yeah.
I'm glad
it
this
was
game tried different things, but man, that
yeah, it was hilarious and fun, but hard at the same time and annoying. It was a mix of both. I was like, I liked it, but at the same time, I was like, why do I need to do this to progress in the story? Why? This could have just been is easily been just a side mini game where you get like more tweaks or something. I don't know,
you are
but yeah, that's
correct.
just me.
Now, as I said before, some of the bosses have a Zelda-like feel, or it seems like they tried something. And one of the clearer ones where you can see their inspiration, and it made me feel more like a Mega Man or a Contra boss. We fight a helicopter in this game, and this game goes
Yes.
so many different places. That helicopter felt really, like I said, like a Mega Man or like a what's the game? The Neo Geo game?
Metal Slug, Metal
Or
Slug.
like this Metal Slug type of fight, and that was pretty fun. The animations are quirky. There's a guy on the ground, and there's the helicopter doing pass-throughs in the air, like flyby shooting, and it's very different. It feels very different from the rest of the game. It's still very. You can only attack the helicopter when the other character swings something at you, and you have to swing it to the helicopter. Like very scripted. There's only one solution, but their inspirations and their animation are very good and are the things that most stick out for me in this game. Is there anything
Yeah.
else that you want to mention before we get to the final boss?
Oh boy, I cannot wait to talk about this final boss. I'm gonna tell you that. But yeah, so far, I think there's nothing else. I think we've covered pretty much almost everything. Yeah, we've covered pretty much everything about the game. Like we only have like this final part left. That oh my god, it's I can't even like
Okay.
just go ahead, just
So
go ahead because I
the
can't even.
sequence of events goes. I never really thought these people were like space worthy or spacefaring. You think this civilization is advanced but not that advanced. So let's go. You have to go into a rocket. You fight a boss with each of the characters. You fight a boss with Mina. You fight a boss with Elro, as we already said and showed on this video. Then you have to fight a boss with Robin and Royal. And after you fight these boss with these two characters, you get you get on a rocket ship and you go to the moon. At the moon, there is no real enemies. There's just a giant space worm, and nothing really happens with the worm. He just attacks the space station and you have to evacuate. The worm crashes into Earth, and at this point in the story, everyone thinks the world is gonna end.
For some reason.
And everyone thinks the world, it's part of the prophecy of the church, and
Yeah.
everyone thinks the world is gonna end. So Robin sort of gives up. She goes to her house, she goes to sleep, but then she decides to actually Elrose is waiting for her at her house, but then she decides to actually do something about it. So you leave your house, you go back into the forest from the beginning, and you see the huge crater that the worm caused, and you're going to fight this worm sort of thing. When we reach this worm, it is the end of the game. Tell me about the worm. Tell me about this fight, because you not only fight the worm, there is a second stage like many other bosses do have, but it turns so weird and so unexpected.
Yeah,
And you can say it, you can say it, you can say it.
this whole game is just weird and unexpected. The thing is that when you start like the worm boss fight, you first go into he first puts you like in this dream world fight thing. I don't know how to explain it. Where everything is like dark and red, and you're going crazy, and you're trying to fight the illusion and whatnot, and then when you finish getting out of this illusion world thing, whatever, you actually fight the worm, and then you like destroy the worm. All good, all hunky dory thing. Everything's chill, whatever, blah blah blah. And then like the worm sort of opens itself up or whatever, and the pilot of the worm comes out. And surprise, it's actually Ravenbeak. I mean, no way. This game actually came before
It's
Metroid
a
Dread.
sentient anthropomorphic raven.
Yes. Why? Why? Is there a freaking bird inside of a freaking celestial worm? And now you have to fight both because game. Because video games.
That's it. You just have to fight it because.
because video games. And this game just gave up on the notion of making sense of the story. And it's like, you know what? I'm gonna throw this mechanic bird-like thing at you, and you're just gonna have to deal with it because why not?
I don't
Of
think
course.
it gave up, but I think it expects too much of us. It thinks
Yeah.
that we are following it, and we are not.
Not at all. Like,
Do
honestly,
you know the reason for the bird? Do you know the reason
No.
why the church was worshiping this worm thing?
this war. I really don't know. I don't like. I stopped following when I stopped following the story like when it started talking about the end of the world and like this giant space worm thing, because I was like, but wait, we were like talking about this church like government thing that was super dictatorship or whatever, and nobody's supposed to be a mechanic or something, and then all of a sudden we're going to the moon. Why? What's going on here?
And we didn't even mention that the mother fight was against the cat. The church's
yeah.
all-powerful thing is like a magic cat.
Apparently so. Like like why does Mother transform her chariot thing where she was getting worshipped by everybody else? Why does it suddenly transform into like a cat? Why does like is there like this sort of thing that makes people explode like well, then again, they were like science, like Elro was sort of like a scientist, and he was like experimenting on whatever to like counter the ivory infused soldiers or whatnot. But
Yeah,
why does it happen?
The seed thing is very disturbing. How they put seeds into
Yeah.
people with ivory blood and they become a tree. That's also very disturbing and not specifically explained. Only that the seeds are old and they're like from Mina's people.
Exactly.
But
Yeah,
that
that's
whole
another
fight
thing.
happens where you fight Mother Brain
Yes,
in its chicken form.
Like yeah, like that happens, and the fight against Agent Black, I think, is the one that survives.
Yeah.
That fight is also super weird. While you're like going into like the rocket or whatnot, and she's like super hell bent on like, no, I'm going inside this rocket. I'm here. Like, why do you want to go inside the rocket? Why?
Let me tell you, you fight Black the first time in the sand pit. It's like a pit of some purple sand that takes Royal's powers away. After you
Yeah.
fight Black there, you have to fight her in an escape sequence, which absolutely blows. I hated that part. I absolutely hated that part. Then you fight her at the top, where's that seed thing that you turn her into a tree. Then she becomes a Metroid, and then you fight the huge mother brain sort of monster alien thing.
Yeah, like I'm telling you, my guy, I just gave up. I just gave up on trying to make sense.
Yeah, so
Like I
want
was
people
following
that are
up
watching
until
this video to play this game if you have it. It's usually on sale or pretty cheap. As we said, it's on Switch, it's on PlayStation, it's on everything. And let us know what you think. Like, is this a game that you want to play? Is this a game that you had any idea was this bonkers? And we already said, but it's kind of disappointing. Its Metroidvania aspects aren't that great, but it tries its best to be an action game, but then gives the player very little freedom to execute the bosses and the fights.
Yeah, and there's like a few puzzles here and there too. They're not that complicated, but if you're like, if you're like me, like that I was playing this game after a really stressful work day, you're gonna have a bad time because you don't want to think. You just want to like enjoy a brain dead game or something, and this is not the game for that. This
One
really is.
specific jumping time puzzle comes to mind, and that was very annoying.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, like it's not that it's a bad game, because it's not a bad game, but it could have it could have been a little bit better. Honestly,
It could have been
really
more generous with giving you options on how to tackle bosses. I wish I used the other characters in more, like I could switch forward in most characters. And the best area in the game, in my opinion, the tower, felt like it dragged on because you had to do everything with one character. Go up, go down, go up, go down, and it's like 3 shafts of the tower. So overall, this game is solid, has a lot of ideas, but for me it's more wasted potential. How are we gonna score this game, Salmi?
Uh, I am gonna score it a 6 out of 10. Honestly, I don't know if that's like too low or too high. I have no idea. For me, it's just about right because like I said, it's not that it's a bad game, but it's at least worth of a single playthrough at least. I would say, play it at least once. It's definitely something.
This
Like
game
it's
didn't inspire me to do a speed run or a second
no, me
run
either.
through. I would give it a 5 out of 10 because
Oh
the
wow.
visuals are good, but it's lacking in terms of boss fight. Though that last boss fight is good, but it's lacking in terms of freedom, and it feels like a very stiff game. I know it came out 2018. Yeah, 2018, and it's on modern platforms, PlayStation, Switch, and whatnot, but it feels older. It feels like a PS3, Wii sort of, or Xbox 360 downloadable game. It feels like that. It's like stuck a little bit in the past.
Yeah, it is. And granted, like let's not forget that hey, this was made by just one guy. Which hey, for it to have been made by only one guy, that's amazing. But it also shows that yeah, he could have if he had a team to like work on the whole thing, and actually help around with like I don't know, maybe giving the game a little bit more polish in terms of like upgrades and how to traverse the map and whatnot. It could have benefited from that, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So overall, we enjoyed it. We hit ourselves against the wall a few times, and we complained about bosses quite a bit. But Iconoclast is a memorable game. So
yeah,
Salmi,
it is.
we are done with our Iconoclast review. After that, we have our next big game. What did we choose, Salmi?
I think it was called Flynn, Son of Crimson, or something like that.
You
it was
are
called,
correct.
right?
The next game we're gonna play is Flynn, Son of Crimson, and it looks very actiony. I hope it has more of the Metroidvania elements, but we're gonna be reviewing this game, and that'll probably come out in January.
Yeah, probably. So I think that by then I'll have it finished, even with all the holidays and all the holiday parties and family gatherings and whatnot. I think I'll still be able to find at least a little bit of time to be able to play it for January. So hey.
Yeah, so thank you so much for watching this video. Salmi and I had a lot of fun, and we're gonna continue playing Metroidvanias. Remember to subscribe and leave a comment. We read everyone. See you, man.
Yeah. Woo!